In the last section, we went through a very long-winded demonstration of exactly what was happening inside of our local node. Now, at this point in time, our understanding of the Kubernetes architecture is kind of limited to this diagram right here and a couple of discussions about, some networking stuff and nodes and blah, blah, blah. Very simple, straightforward stuff. So in this section, I want to change that in a big way. We're going to walk through the process of exactly what happened when we fed that configuration file into kubectl and get a better understanding of what is kind of happening behind the scenes. Now, before I do, I want to give you a very quick demonstration at my command line, and I want to show you something rather interesting, okay? So I'm going to flip over to my command line. Now, some of these commands you are not going to be able to issue successfully. If you run the commands I'm about to run, you will see an error message. So please don't try to run these, just follow along visually for a second. I will show you how you can run these commands in just a moment as well. But for right now, just watch. Okay, so I'm going to first start off by doing a kubectl get pods. That's going to list out the current status of our running pod right here. And as you can see, it currently has restarts of 0 and an age of 1 hour. Now I want to do something very interesting. I'm going to execute a command. You're going to see a Docker PS right here, and you're going to see that I'm running a tremendous number of containers right now. One of the containers I am running is the multi-client image. So this is the container that is running inside that pod right now. Now I'm going to take that container ID. Again, this is a container that's running inside that pod. I'm going to take the ID, and I'll do a Docker kill with that ID. So this is going to completely kill that running container inside of that pod. So that's it. It is done. It's gone. Now I'm going to do a Docker PS again. If I scroll all the way back up, you're going to very quickly see that it looks like, hey, wait a minute, it's still there. There's Stephen Grider multi-client. That is the container running inside that pod. But you'll notice that the thing was only created 2 seconds ago. If I also run the command kubectl get pods, you'll notice that there is now 1 restart reflected inside of here as well. And so the thing that I wanted to demo to you here very quickly, that's going to kind of play into the diagram that we're going to look at in just a second, is that it appears that if we manually delete, or if one of those containers inside that pod crashes, it appears that it automatically gets restarted for us, for free. So with that in mind, we're now going to look at a rather complex diagram. We're going to walk through the process of what happened when we deployed, or applied, I should say, these 2 configuration files. Now, just a quick disclaimer, this is going to be a rather long video as we go through this discussion. So, I don't know, pause it at some point and take a break if you feel like it. I don't know. Okay, so this diagram, super boring, not enough detail. I want to look at this right here. All right, so this is a little bit more realistic diagram. We're going to walk through this thing step by step and see what happens when we deploy one of those files. Now, on the right-hand side, you'll notice that I'm reflecting 3 separate nodes. Remember, a node in the world of Kubernetes is a computer, or essentially a physical computer or a virtual machine that is going to run some number of objects that we create inside of our cluster. You'll notice down here at the bottom center, I have something labeled called the master. On the left-hand side over here, we've got a deployment file. So the deployment file is essentially identical to the 2 files that we just put together that create a pod or a service. And then finally, up here on the top left-hand side, I have the Docker Hub that lists a couple of the different images that we have created throughout this course. So let's walk through a series of actions now. We're going to start off with our deployment file down here. Now we're going to imagine that rather than creating a single instance of the multi-client image or multi-client container, maybe we have a deployment file that instead says that it wants to create 4 copies using the multi-worker image. So we're just going to imagine, for the sake of discussion, that we slightly changed our deployment file. We're then going to imagine that we take this file and we feed it into the kubectl apply